My name is Isabella Martinez, and I am 28 years old. Last Christmas dinner changed everything I thought I knew about family loyalty. When my sister Sophia threw me out of our family restaurant and handed me a $2,000 bill in front of everyone, I discovered the shocking truth about who had been stealing from our family business for years. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife, but what happened next proved that sometimes the universe has perfect timing when it comes to serving justice on a silver platter. Before we dive into this wild family drama that will make you question everything about blood versus chosen family, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Please hit that like button if you have ever dealt with toxic family members, and do not forget to subscribe because this story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Trust me, you will want to see how this revenge story unfolds. The whole nightmare began 3 weeks before Christmas, when I decided to surprise my family by flying home to Phoenix from Seattle, where I had been working as a software engineer for the past 5 years. Our family owned Martinez Family Restaurant, a beloved Mexican establishment that had been passed down through 3 generations. My grandmother Rosa started it with nothing but determination and her secret salsa recipe. I had always been the black sheep because I chose technology over traditional family business, but I sent money home every month to help with expenses. My parents, Maria and Carlos, always seemed grateful, and my sister Sophia, who managed the restaurant, would send thank you texts that made me feel connected despite the distance. Walking into the restaurant that December evening, I expected warm hugs and excited screams. Instead, I found chaos. The dining room was packed, but something felt off. The servers looked stressed, the kitchen seemed understaffed, and there were stacks of unpaid bills scattered across the hostess station that Sophia quickly tried to hide when she saw me. "Isabella, what are you doing here?" Sophia's voice carried surprise mixed with something else I could not quite identify. Panic, maybe. Surprise? I got time off early and wanted to spend the holidays with my favorite people. I pulled her into a hug, but her body remained rigid. My parents emerged from the kitchen, and while Mom's embrace felt genuine, Dad seemed distracted, constantly glancing toward the office where heated voices echoed. Throughout dinner preparation, I noticed strange things. Vendors were calling repeatedly about overdue payments. The wine selection had drastically decreased. Most telling the staff kept asking Sophia about their paychecks. That night, unable to sleep in my childhood bedroom, I decided to review the restaurant's books. I had helped Dad set up a digital accounting system years ago and still had access credentials. What I discovered made my blood run cold. For the past 18 months, someone had been systematically draining the business accounts. Money was being transferred to a personal account registered under the name S. Martinez Holdings. The transfers coincided perfectly with my monthly contributions, which meant someone was stealing my money along with the restaurant's profits. The evidence was overwhelming. Rent payments were 3 months behind, supplier invoices remained unpaid. Employee paychecks were bouncing, yet somehow Sophia had been posting social media photos of expensive vacations, designer handbags, and a brand new BMW that she claimed was a business investment. I spent hours cross-referencing bank statements with business expenses. Every transfer to S. Martinez Holdings happened within days of my deposits. My sister was not just stealing from the family business, she was specifically stealing the money I sent to help our struggling parents. The most devastating discovery came when I found email exchanges between Sophia and various creditors. She had been telling them that the family was expecting a large insurance payout from a fake accident claim. She was buying time with lies while the restaurant teetered on bankruptcy. My hands trembled as I printed evidence. 23 pages of bank statements, forged invoices, and email threads that painted a clear picture of systematic theft and fraud. The sister I had looked up to my entire life, who had always been the responsible one, the one who stayed home to help the family, was destroying everything our grandmother had built. But the worst part was yet to come. Digging deeper into the email account, I found correspondence with a real estate attorney. Sophia had been secretly attempting to sell the restaurant property behind our parents' backs. She had forged documents claiming power of attorney and was negotiating with developers who wanted to tear down our family legacy for a strip mall. The sale was scheduled to close January 15th. She planned to take the money and disappear, leaving our parents homeless and penniless. The woman who criticized me for leaving home was planning the ultimate betrayal while positioning herself as the devoted daughter. As dawn broke over Phoenix, I sat, surrounded by evidence of my sister's crimes, feeling like my entire world had shifted. The family dynamics I had understood for 28 years were built on lies. Sophia was not the selfless daughter who sacrificed her dreams for family duty. She was a calculating thief who used family loyalty as a shield, while systematically destroying everything we held sacred. I realized that every guilt trip about moving away, every comment about abandoning family responsibilities, had been projection. She was the one abandoning the family, but she needed me gone to execute her plan without interference. The irony was bitter. I had spent years feeling guilty about pursuing my own dreams, while my sister supposedly carried the family burden. Now I understood that my monthly contributions were funding her escape plan while she slowly murdered the business that represented our heritage. Looking at my sleeping parents down the hall, I knew I faced an impossible choice. Exposing Sophia would destroy them, but staying silent meant watching her succeed in her theft. Either way, Christmas was going to be a disaster that would change our family forever. I did not sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my rental car outside a 24-hour diner, methodically planning my next moves while drinking terrible coffee that tasted like betrayal. The evidence was damning, but I needed to be strategic. Sophia had been planning this for over a year, which meant she had contingencies and cover stories prepared. My first call was to my college roommate Jessica, who now worked as a forensic accountant in Los Angeles. After explaining the situation, she agreed to review the documents remotely and provide an official assessment that could be used in court proceedings. "Isabella, this is serious federal crime territory," Jessica explained during our video call. "Wire fraud, elder abuse, forgery of legal documents. Your sister could face decades in prison if prosecuted fully." While Jessica analyzed the financial records, I contacted my friend Marcus, an investigative journalist who specialized in family business fraud cases. He helped me understand how to document everything properly and suggested hiring a private investigator to track Sophia's activities. The private investigator, a sharp woman named Detective Riley Chen, agreed to take the case immediately. Within 6 hours, she had located S. Martinez Holdings and discovered that Sophia had opened multiple credit lines using the restaurant as collateral. The debt totaled over $400,000. But Riley uncovered something even more shocking. Sophia had a secret apartment across town where she was living with her boyfriend, a man named Derek, who had a criminal history involving investment fraud. They had been planning to disappear to Costa Rica after the restaurant sale closed. "Your sister has been living a double life," Riley explained. "She tells your parents she works late every night, but actually she leaves at 6 to go home to Derek. They have been planning this exit strategy since last summer." The next revelation made my stomach turn. Derek was not just Sophia's boyfriend, he was her criminal mentor. He had served 3 years for defrauding elderly investors out of their retirement savings. Sophia had met him at a financial planning seminar and learned his techniques for manipulating family trust. I realized that my sister had not just betrayed us, she had been systematically trained to do it by a professional criminal. Every conversation we had shared over the past year took on new meaning. When she asked about my salary, she was calculating theft potential. When she inquired about my travel schedule, she was ensuring I would not interfere with her timeline. The emotional manipulation had been expertly crafted. She would call me crying about how hard everything was, how much she sacrificed, how desperately the restaurant needed help. Meanwhile, she was stealing that help and planning to destroy what she claimed to protect. Riley also discovered that Sophia had been intercepting mail and emails to prevent our parents from learning about the overdue payments and legal notices. She had changed the mailing addresses on multiple accounts and set up email forwarding to hide correspondence from creditors. "She has isolated your parents completely," Riley observed. "They have no idea how bad things really are, because she controls all the information they receive." As I processed this information, my phone rang. It was Mom, asking if I wanted to help plan the Christmas dinner menu for the family gathering scheduled for December 24th. The irony was suffocating. Sophia had chosen Christmas Eve for her final performance as the devoted daughter. "Of course, Mom. I would love to help with dinner." That conversation crystallized my strategy. Sophia wanted to play the perfect daughter role one last time before disappearing with the money. I would let her have her performance, but I would make sure it became her confession instead of her farewell. I spent the next week quietly gathering additional evidence while playing the role of the prodigal daughter grateful to be home. I installed hidden cameras in the restaurant office, recorded phone conversations with vendors about overdue payments, and documented every lie Sophia told our parents. The most damning evidence came when I secretly recorded her phone conversation with Derek about accelerating their timeline. They were planning to complete the restaurant sale during the week between Christmas and New Year's, while our parents were distracted with holiday celebrations. The old man signed the papers thinking they were insurance documents, Sophia laughed to Derek. He has no idea he just authorized the sale. By January 2nd, we will be on a beach in Costa Rica, while they figure out why the sheriff is evicting them. Hearing my sister laugh about deceiving our father broke something inside me that could never be repaired. This was not desperation or momentary weakness. This was calculated cruelty, executed with precision and enjoyment. I realized that confronting her privately would accomplish nothing. She had spent months perfecting her lies and would simply deny everything while accelerating her escape plan. The only way to stop her was to expose her publicly in front of witnesses in a way that made denial impossible. Christmas Eve dinner would be perfect. The entire extended family would be present, including our Uncle Roberto, who was a retired police detective, and our cousin Carmen, who worked as a prosecutor. Sophia would be expecting celebration and gratitude, not accountability and justice. I spent Christmas Eve morning setting up my evidence presentation, while Sophia bustled around the restaurant, playing the role of the stressed but devoted daughter managing Christmas dinner for 25 family members. Watching her performance, knowing what I knew, felt surreal. She hugged our grandparents with the same hands that had forged legal documents. She served food to cousins whose inheritance she was stealing. She accepted compliments about her dedication while planning to abandon everyone who trusted her. The final piece of my plan involved the restaurant's security system. I had upgraded their cameras years ago and still had administrative access. I programmed the main dining room display screen to connect to my laptop, ostensibly for showing family photos during dinner. Instead, it would show bank statements, forged documents, and recorded phone conversations that would reveal exactly who Sophia Martinez really was. Christmas Eve arrived with the kind of crisp Arizona winter morning that made me remember why I had loved growing up here. The restaurant buzzed with preparation as extended family members began arriving for our traditional celebration. Cousins, aunts, uncles, and family friends filled the dining room with laughter and Spanish conversations that felt like home. Sophia orchestrated everything with the precision of a theater director, ensuring every detail reflected her image as the selfless daughter. She had prepared elaborate decorations, coordinated the traditional tamale-making session, and even hired a mariachi band to surprise our grandmother Rosa, who was celebrating her 80th birthday alongside Christmas. Watching her performance while knowing the truth felt like being trapped in a psychological thriller. She kissed Grandma Rosa's cheek while wearing jewelry purchased with stolen money. She served our father his favorite pozole while hiding documents that would leave him homeless. Every gesture of love was contaminated by the knowledge of her betrayal. I had positioned myself strategically throughout the day, quietly approaching specific family members who needed to understand what was happening. Uncle Roberto, with his law enforcement background, was my first ally. "Roberto, I need to speak with you privately after dinner. It involves the restaurant and some serious legal issues." His detective instincts immediately sharpened. "Is everything all right, Mija?" "It will be, but I need your professional expertise tonight." Next was my cousin Carmen, the prosecutor. I caught her during a quiet moment in the kitchen while she helped arrange dessert platters. Carmen, hypothetically speaking, if someone was committing wire fraud and elder abuse, what kind of evidence would be needed for prosecution? Her expression grew serious. "That is very specific, Isabella. Are you asking hypothetically, or do we have a real situation?" "Unfortunately, it is very real. I will explain everything after dinner, but I wanted you to be prepared." The most difficult conversation was with my cousin Miguel, who was Sophia's closest friend among our generation. They had grown up together, shared secrets, and supported each other through difficult times. I knew that revealing Sophia's crimes would devastate him. "Miguel, I know this will be hard to hear, but Sophia is not who we think she is. She has been stealing from the family business and planning to sell the restaurant without telling anyone. His immediate response was defensive. That is impossible, Isabella. You have been gone for years. You do not understand the pressure she has been under. I had anticipated this reaction and came prepared. Showing him just enough evidence to establish credibility, I watched his face transform from disbelief to horror to anger. How long has this been happening? He asked quietly. 18 months. Maybe longer. Miguel, she has been planning to disappear after Christmas. This dinner tonight is her goodbye performance. By the time we gathered for the formal meal, I had assembled a coalition of family members who understood that something serious was about to happen. They did not know the full details, but they knew to pay attention and be prepared for difficult revelations. Sophia had arranged the seating to position herself at the head of the table next to our parents, surrounded by the extended family she was betraying. She had even prepared a speech about family loyalty and the importance of tradition, which she planned to deliver before dessert. The irony was so thick I could barely breathe. As we progressed through dinner courses, I noticed Sophia checking her phone repeatedly. Later, I would learn she was coordinating final details with Derek about their departure plans. They had booked flights to leave December 26th, giving them a 48-hour head start before anyone discovered the restaurant sale. During the main course, our grandmother Rosa began sharing stories about building the restaurant with our grandfather who had passed away 10 years earlier. She spoke about the sacrifices they made, the dreams they built, and the legacy they hoped to leave for future generations. This restaurant is not just a business, Grandma Rosa explained in her mixture of English and Spanish. It is our family heart. Every brick, every recipe, every memory lives here. As long as we have this place, we have each other. Sophia nodded along, even wiping away tears while secretly planning to destroy everything Grandma Rosa described. The performance was so convincing that if I had not seen the evidence myself, I would have believed her emotion was genuine. When Sophia stood to deliver her prepared speech about family loyalty, I knew my moment had arrived. She had positioned herself perfectly for maximum impact, standing where everyone could see her with the wall-mounted display screen directly behind her. Before Sophia speaks, I interrupted gently. I have something to share with everyone. A Christmas surprise that I think will really show us who we can count on in this family. Sophia's smile faltered slightly, but she maintained her composure. Of course, Isabella. What did you want to share? I stood and walked to the display screen, connecting my laptop with hands that remained remarkably steady despite my racing heart. I wanted to show everyone how much our family business means to all of us, and maybe clear up some confusion about our financial situation. The first document that appeared on screen was a bank statement showing the S. Martinez Holdings account with a balance of over $100,000. Murmurs began immediately, as family members tried to understand what they were seeing. This is an account that Sophia opened 18 months ago, I explained calmly. The money in this account came from systematic transfers from our restaurant's operating funds. Sophia's face went white. Isabella, what are you doing? This is a private family dinner, not a business meeting. You are absolutely right, Sophia. This is about family. Which is why everyone needs to understand what has been happening to their family business. The next slide showed the transfer patterns, clearly demonstrating how money disappeared from the restaurant accounts within days of my monthly contributions. Gasps echoed around the table as relatives began understanding the implications. Uncle Roberto was already taking notes, his law enforcement training automatically activated. Carmen was photographing the screen with her phone, creating evidence for potential prosecution. Isabella, stop this immediately, Sophia demanded, her voice rising. You have no right to access private business information. Actually, I do, I replied, displaying the next document. Dad made me a signatory on these accounts 5 years ago, remember? You know, back when you convinced him I should help with financial oversight since I work in tech. The room fell silent except for the mariachi music still playing softly in the background, creating a surreal soundtrack for the destruction of family trust. Our parents sat frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. Mom kept looking between Sophia and the screen, as if trying to reconcile the daughter she knew with the evidence being presented. But I was not finished. The real devastation was yet to come. Are you ready to see how this family confrontation explodes when I reveal the evidence about Sophia's secret boyfriend and their plan to sell the restaurant? Because what happens next will shock even those who saw the betrayal coming. The silence stretched like a taut wire, about to snap when I displayed the next document. It was the forged power of attorney that Sophia had used to initiate the restaurant sale without our parents' knowledge. This is a legal document that Dad supposedly signed 3 weeks ago, I announced, watching my father's face crumple in confusion. Dad, do you remember signing papers that would give Sophia the right to sell our family restaurant? No, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the mariachi music. I never signed anything like that. The only papers Sophia brought me were insurance forms. Sophia finally exploded. You have no idea what you are talking about, Isabella. You abandoned this family 5 years ago. You do not get to come back and destroy everything I have built just because you feel guilty about leaving. Everything you built, I laughed bitterly. Let me show everyone exactly what you built, Sophia. The next slide revealed Derek's criminal background and his relationship with my sister. The police booking photo made several family members gasp, but it was the romantic photos from social media that truly devastated our parents. This is Derek Williams, Sophia's boyfriend for the past 2 years. He served 3 years in federal prison for defrauding elderly investors. Sophia has been living with him in a secret apartment while telling you she works late every night. Mom started crying. Not the gentle tears of disappointment, but the deep, wrenching sobs of a mother watching her daughter's entire identity crumble before her eyes. The real estate closing is scheduled for January 15th, I continued relentlessly. Sophia and Derek have plane tickets to Costa Rica for December 26th. They plan to steal our family legacy and disappear while you figured out why the sheriff was evicting you from the building you have called home for 30 years. Uncle Roberto stood up, his cop instincts fully engaged. Sophia, I need you to stay right where you are. We need to discuss this situation calmly. But Sophia was beyond calm. The mask had finally slipped, completely revealing the calculating stranger who had been masquerading as our beloved family member. You want to know the truth? She screamed. Fine, I have been supporting this failing restaurant with my own money for 2 years. Isabella sends her pathetic monthly checks and thinks she is helping, but this place has been bleeding money since before COVID. Your own money. I pulled out my phone and played the recorded conversation with Derek. Her voice filled the restaurant, laughing about deceiving our father and planning their escape. The family listened in stunned horror as Sophia's recorded voice described our parents as gullible old fools who would never figure out what hit them until we are long gone. Grandma Rosa, who had been silent throughout the confrontation, finally spoke. Her voice carried the weight of 80 years and 3 generations of family sacrifice. Sophia Maria Martinez, she said in Spanish, her tone making everyone freeze. You are no granddaughter of mine. You are a stranger who stole my granddaughter's face. That broke something fundamental in Sophia. She grabbed the $2,000 bill from the evening's dinner service and hurled it at me. Here, take your precious family's money, get out, find another table, find another family, because you are not welcome here anymore. The irony was perfect. She was throwing me out of the restaurant she had already sold behind everyone's back, demanding I pay for a dinner funded by money she had stolen from the very accounts I had been contributing to for 5 years. Carmen was already on her phone with the district attorney's office, while Uncle Roberto had positioned himself between Sophia and the exit. Miguel looked devastated, but he nodded when Roberto asked him to help secure the building. Sophia, you need to understand that this is now a criminal matter, Carmen explained professionally. Wire fraud, elder abuse, forgery of legal documents, and conspiracy to commit theft. You are looking at federal charges that carry mandatory minimum sentences. But Sophia was not finished. In her desperation, she made one final play that revealed the true depth of her manipulation. You want to destroy me, Isabella, fine. But understand that prosecuting me means our parents lose everything anyway. The debts are real. The restaurant is bankrupt. I was trying to save something from this disaster, but now everyone will lose everything because of your self-righteous revenge fantasy. It was her last manipulation designed to make me feel guilty for exposing her crimes. But I had prepared for this moment. Actually, Sophia, that is where you are wrong. I displayed the final document on the screen. I contacted our business insurance company yesterday. Theft by a family member is covered under our policy. Every dollar you stole will be restored, plus penalties. The look of absolute defeat on her face was almost satisfying. Almost. Furthermore, I continued, I have already spoken with a business attorney about reversing the fraudulent sale. Since the power of attorney was forged, the transaction is void. The buyers will get their money back, and the restaurant stays in our family. Derek chose that moment to walk through the front door, apparently having grown worried when Sophia stopped responding to his texts. He took one look at the scene and immediately tried to back out, but Uncle Roberto was faster. Derek Williams, you are going to want to stay right there. The final piece of the evening came when Detective Riley Chen arrived with two uniformed officers. I had asked her to wait outside until I confirmed that Sophia had been exposed, then bring backup for the arrests. As they read Sophia and Derek their rights, our extended family sat in stunned silence around tables still laden with Christmas dinner. The mariachi band had stopped playing when the police arrived, leaving only the sound of handcuffs and Miranda warnings to mark the end of our family celebration. Watching my sister being led away in custody, I felt no satisfaction, only profound sadness for the woman she had chosen to become, and relief that her victims would finally find justice. The restaurant felt like a crime scene after the police left with Sophia and Derek. Family members sat in small groups speaking in hushed whispers while trying to process what they had witnessed. Children who had been playing in the back room sensed the tension and clung to their parents, confused by the sudden shift from celebration to devastation. Uncle Roberto took charge of securing the building and ensuring that all the financial evidence was properly documented for the investigation. Carmen worked with Detective Chen to establish a timeline for prosecution, while I helped my parents navigate the immediate practical concerns. Dad had aged 10 years in 2 hours. He sat staring at the wall where our family photos hung, as if trying to understand how the smiling daughter in those pictures had become the stranger who betrayed everything he believed in. How did I not see it, he kept asking. How did I sign papers without knowing what they were? How did I let her fool me so completely? Mom alternated between fury and heartbreak. I defended her when you sent money, Isabella. I told people how responsible she was, how much she sacrificed. I was so proud of her dedication. She laughed bitterly. Dedication to destroying us. The extended family began leaving around 10 o'clock, each relative stopping to offer support while struggling to find appropriate words for such an unprecedented situation. What do you say when Christmas dinner becomes a criminal investigation? Cousin Miguel was among the last to leave. He pulled me aside near the door, his expression heavy with guilt and regret. I should have seen the signs, he said quietly. She asked me to lie to your parents about small things over the past year. I thought I was helping her manage their stress, but I was helping her cover her tracks. You could not have known, Miguel. She fooled all of us. No, Isabella. You saw through her lies. I chose not to look because I wanted to believe in the version of Sophia that made me feel good about our family. His honesty was both painful and necessary. Sophia had not operated in complete isolation. She had relied on family loyalty and willful blindness to execute her plan. Grandma Rosa asked me to drive her home, but instead of going to her apartment, she directed me to the cemetery where Grandpa was buried. We sat in my rental car looking at his headstone while she processed the evening's revelations. Your grandfather built that restaurant with his hands, she said in Spanish. Every tile, every booth, every light fixture. He worked 16-hour days for 20 years, so his children and grandchildren would have something to build their lives on. She paused, wiping tears that reflected the streetlights. Sophia knew these stories. She sat on his lap while he told her about coming to America with nothing but hope. She promised him before he died that she would protect what he built. Her voice hardened. She lied to a dying man. The next morning brought a parade of consequences that continued for weeks. The local newspaper picked up the story, running headlines about family business fraud that made our private shame public knowledge. Regular customers called expressing shock and support, while competitors circled like vultures trying to hire our best staff members. The insurance investigation moved quickly thanks to the extensive evidence I had compiled. Within 5 days, the company confirmed coverage and began the process of restoring the stolen funds. The fraudulent sale was officially voided, and the buyers who had acted in good faith received full refunds. Derek's criminal history made him eligible for enhanced penalties as a repeat offender. He accepted a plea deal that required him to testify against Sophia in exchange for a reduced sentence. The prosecution was confident they could secure significant prison time for both defendants, but the hardest part was not the legal proceedings or financial recovery. It was watching my parents rebuild their understanding of their own daughter. Mom found a therapist who specialized in family betrayal trauma, while Dad threw himself into restaurant operations with obsessive intensity. "I need to understand every transaction," he explained, when I found him in the office at midnight going through years of records. "I need to know how she did it so it never happens again." The most surprising development came from our staff. Instead of abandoning the restaurant during the crisis, they rallied around my parents with fierce loyalty. Maria, our head server, organized a fund to help with immediate expenses. Carlos, the head cook, worked extra shifts without pay until the insurance money arrived. "This family gave me a chance when no one else would," Maria explained. "One bad person does not change 20 years of good treatment." Their support reminded me why the restaurant mattered beyond financial considerations. It was a community anchor, a place where immigrant families found their first jobs, where regulars celebrated milestones, where traditions lived across generations. 3 weeks after Christmas, I received a call from Detective Chen with an update that made my blood run cold. "We found additional victims," she explained. Sophia and Derek ran this same scam on 2 other family businesses in Tucson. They would identify struggling restaurants with absent family members, then Derek would seduce a family member while teaching them how to steal systematically. The revelation that we were part of a larger criminal pattern was somehow both better and worse than thinking Sophia had acted alone. Better because it meant her betrayal was not personal. Worse because it meant she had coldly calculated our destruction as part of a business model. "The other families want to testify at the sentencing hearing," Chen continued. "Your case was actually the one that broke the pattern because you had the technical skills to uncover their operation." I realized that my decision to come home for Christmas had not just saved our family restaurant. It had ended a criminal enterprise that was targeting vulnerable family businesses across Arizona. But even knowing that our situation was part of a larger pattern did not diminish the personal devastation. Sophia had still chosen to destroy the people who loved her most. She had still laughed about deceiving our father and stealing our grandmother's legacy. The woman I had admired my entire life had never actually existed. She was a carefully constructed performance designed to hide a predator who used family love as a weapon. 6 months later, I stood in the same restaurant where Christmas dinner had exploded into criminal prosecution, but everything felt different. The dining room buzzed with genuine warmth instead of hidden tension. New family photos covered the wall, but now they included the staff members who had chosen to stay loyal during our darkest time. Sophia received 8 years in federal prison, while Derek got 12 as a repeat offender. The judge called their crimes particularly heinous because they targeted family bonds and elderly victims. Neither showed remorse during sentencing, with Sophia maintaining that she had been trying to save everyone from inevitable business failure. I had taken a leave of absence from my Seattle job to help rebuild the restaurant operations, but that temporary arrangement had evolved into something permanent. Working alongside my parents revealed talents I never knew I possessed, and showed me the deep satisfaction that comes from preserving family legacy. "You have your grandfather's mind for business," Dad told me one evening, as we reviewed the quarterly reports that showed strong recovery, "but you also have your grandmother's heart for people." Mom had blossomed in unexpected ways since Sophia's arrest. Without the constant stress of hidden financial crisis and her daughter's manipulation, she rediscovered her passion for cooking and began teaching traditional recipe classes that brought in additional revenue. "I spent so many years worried about disappointing Sophia," she admitted. "Now, I realize she was disappointed in herself and projected that onto everyone around her." The most profound change came in our relationships with extended family. The trauma of that Christmas Eve had initially driven people apart, but gradually it brought us closer together in more authentic ways. Miguel became my closest ally in restaurant management, while Uncle Roberto helped us implement security measures to prevent future fraud. Carmen provided ongoing legal advice and became our unofficial family counselor, helping us process the complex emotions that arise when someone you love commits crimes against you. Family loyalty does not mean blind trust, she explained during one of our weekly coffee meetings. Real love includes accountability and protection of vulnerable family members. Grandma Rosa moved into the apartment above the restaurant where she could be closer to daily operations and share stories with customers who remembered the early days. Her presence brought healing energy that transformed the space from a place of betrayal back into a source of community connection. The most unexpected blessing came from the other families who had been victimized by Sophia and Derek. We formed a support network that evolved into genuine friendship and mutual business assistance. When the Tucson restaurant struggled with staffing, we shared our best practices. When they developed a successful catering program, they taught us their methods. Crime brought us together, joked Patricia, the owner whose sister had also been manipulated by Derek. But choice keeps us connected. The criminal investigation had uncovered that Sophia's theft totaled nearly $600,000 across all victims, but the insurance settlements and asset recovery meant that everyone received full restitution. More importantly, the prosecution sent a message that family business fraud carries serious consequences. I found myself becoming an advocate for other victims of family financial abuse. Detective Chen connected me with advocacy organizations, and I began speaking at seminars about recognizing warning signs and protecting family businesses from internal theft. Your technical background combined with your personal experience makes you uniquely qualified to help other families, she explained. Most people do not know how to investigate financial crimes or document evidence properly. Those speaking engagements led to consulting opportunities with family businesses wanting to implement fraud prevention measures. I discovered a career path that combined my technology skills with meaningful impact, helping families protect themselves from the kind of betrayal we had experienced. The restaurant itself evolved into something stronger than before. We implemented transparent financial systems where multiple family members had oversight responsibilities. We created clear job descriptions and accountability measures for all positions. Most importantly, we established communication protocols that prevented any single person from controlling information flow. We learned the difference between trust and verification, Dad explained to a journalist writing about family business security. You can love someone completely while still requiring proof of their claims. 1 year after that devastating Christmas Eve, we held a celebration dinner that felt like a rebirth. The same extended family gathered around the same tables, but the energy was completely different. Conversations were deeper, laughter was more genuine, and everyone participated in planning because we had learned the importance of shared ownership. During the evening, I received a call from the Victim Services Coordinator at the federal prison where Sophia was serving her sentence. She was requesting permission to include me in a family reconciliation program designed to help inmates understand the impact of their crimes. I need time to think about it, I told the coordinator, but my gut reaction was negative. Sophia had shown no genuine remorse during the investigation or trial, only anger at being caught. Some people do change in prison, Mom said when I discussed the request with my parents. But we do not owe her forgiveness on her timeline. Dad was more direct. She burned that bridge when she chose to steal from us instead of asking for help. The consequences belong to her now. As I looked around the thriving restaurant filled with people who had chosen to support us through crisis, I realized that family is not just about blood relationships. It includes everyone who shows up consistently with love, loyalty, and authenticity. The staff members who worked extra shifts during our crisis were family. The customers who continued supporting us despite the scandal were family. The extended relatives who rallied around my parents were family. Even the other crime victims who had become close friends were family. Sophia had taught me that DNA does not guarantee loyalty, but she had also shown me that betrayal by one person cannot destroy the bonds created by many people who choose love over selfishness. Now, as I watch my parents laugh with customers and train new employees in our family traditions, I understand that justice is not just about punishment for wrongdoing. True justice means creating systems that protect good people while building something better from the ruins of betrayal. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and protecting vulnerable people you love? How do you balance forgiveness with accountability when someone close to you commits serious crimes against your family? Share your thoughts in the comments below because these situations are more common than people realize, and we can learn from each other's experiences. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real family drama stories that show how ordinary people navigate extraordinary betrayals. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that family trauma can become family strength when you have the courage to choose truth over comfortable lies. Thank you for joining me on this journey from devastating betrayal to empowered healing. Remember that your family story is not defined by the people who hurt you, but by how you choose to build something better after the damage is done. Until next time, keep choosing authentic relationships over convenient ones, and never be afraid to stand up for justice, even when it costs you everything you thought you knew about the people you love most.